Hello, I'm back again. Welcome to Beverly's Bali series, episode 2. As always, this episode is not going to be cut or edited or anything. So let's dive straight into this. In 2022 or 2023, I forget which year, I got shingles. And for those of you who do not know what shingles is, it is the most painful um like viral, I don't even know if it's a virus, but illness anyways. It's like the chickenpox reactivated as an adult. And typically you get this when you're in your 50s or 60s. That's like the age it's expected, or it's got. But I got this in my just turned 20s, okay? So that will tell you the mental pressure I used to put myself under. And it was a huge wake up call for me because I was working corporate. And I want to dive a little bit into this whole idea. I feel like, especially in the West, we have this notion of we want to fulfill or responsibilities in life. And it means getting a good job, so you're respected and you work really hard, maybe in a corporate role, or you go to university and you study and then you do a master's, and then you kind of work your way up the corporate ladder, or you kind of specialize as like a doctor, solicitor, and these are all professions, and it's very much applauded if you are a professional in the West. Um, and I saw that growing up. I observed, I was like, wow, these people really make an impact and they're very well respected. And I'd like to do something like that one day. So I did the normal route. I went to school, studied very hard, went to university. I studied a bachelor in history of art and architecture and German at Trinity, and just worked my way throughout college, did internships, and worked really, really hard so that by the time I came out of college, I was already in a good place. And I was set, and the job that I had, there was a clear pathway to me, you know, hopefully becoming a director one day in that company. And I was rewarded the more I worked. But it got to a stage where I worked 50 days straight, like weekends, weeks, um, and I was working late nights, and I was just kept pushing the boat further along, and I knew that I was exhausted physically, like my body was exhausted. But I feel like when you're a mental go-getter, or when you get your self-esteem gets built, or you validate yourself based on your accomplishments, that's maybe a better way of saying it. And so I was accomplishing more and more things. So the adrenaline I had kept me going. But my body was screaming at me that, like, this is not okay. I was sacrificing sleep. I was sacrificing my nutrition. I was not training. My work was my training. But you're sitting down at a desk or you're working late, and it's all go, go, go. And when you're operating on adrenaline for a prolonged period of time, eventually something breaks and you experience burnout, or you get shingles, or you have a mental breakdown, or the list goes on. And as someone who lives with chronic pain, I've degenerative disc disease in my low back, and I've bulging discs. I have major back problems, but I don't medicate for it anymore. I've the right tools and infrastructure so that it's not actually that bad anymore. Some days are worse than others, and stress aggravates it. But if you're in a corporate setting and your job is based on fulfillment and how well you perform at work, it's very easy to rely on, oh, I'm just going to take another painkiller for this. Oh, I'm just going to take this stimulant, it's going to keep me going. And soon enough, you have a whole medicine cabinet full of things to get you through the day. And that's how I built my day. That's how it was. And after I got shingles, that was my rude awakening where I thought, this is not how I want to live my life. Um, and my doctor was just prescribing me more pain meds and suggesting more medications to keep me going because I had goals to reach and I wanted to keep accomplishing. But if you feel like you're in that cycle and you are just relying on all these crutches to keep just to survive throughout the day, I want you to know that that's okay. It's not your fault. But if you recognize, if there's a part of you that recognizes that maybe this is not the path you want to be on, maybe you want to have freedom in your body, you want freedom of movement, you want to have a pain-free life, you want to not have to rely on medication to get through your day, then strap in because this episode is for you, okay? I've been there, I've done it, and I'll show you exactly how to be pain-free, stay in your job, but have the right tools to actually cope with life. So, yeah, my philosophy on life is that oftentimes medication is there to help with the symptoms of an illness, but it very rarely, if ever, resolves the root cause of an illness or disease. It literally blocks pathways in your body. I'm not a doctor. I'm not even going to try explain it, but ask your doctor, does this solve the root cause? And they'll probably say no, but it will help alleviate the symptoms. And that is brilliant. That's the whole point of medicine. However, there are side effects if you take things over a prolonged period of time. And if I started taking things at a young age of 20, God only knows what my life would look like in 30, 40 years. And if you're maybe 30 or 40, there's still plenty of life ahead of you, and you do not need to be. As much as is in your control, you absolutely can try to alleviate the symptoms through nutrition, training, recovery. And recovery is a big one. So if you're someone who prides themselves in accomplishing things and you're very mentally stimulated by things, and you're driven, you're ambitious, you want to go, 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 and sometimes it comes at the expense of your body. Like if you're tired or you feel like you're burnt out, you just push through all the time, and you feel like you're going through these cycles of push, 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 achieve, and then burnout, and you want to stop that cycle, you absolutely can. So, yeah, my philosophy is you do not need pain meds to resolve this issue. You can resolve it yourself. And if that aligns with you, then here are some tools. So, the purpose of this episode is I hope it reaches people that want a better way of living and they want to just not feel exhausted or burnt out or in this cycle of start, stop, start, stop. They just want to be more balanced, zen, peaceful. And I've had many times where I was pushing and then I got burnt out, and then pushing and burnt out. And I do believe that's part of the reason why my back is the way it is because I ignored my body for years. And I grew up playing sport on, I suppose, an elite level. I was on the Irish triathlon team when I was very young, and anyone who kind of plays sport when they're young at a serious level, they more often than not become great at performing. So if you get injured and you have a game, you have a match, you're taught to push your feelings, your pain, your hurt aside so you can win. And that mentality serves us in games, in matches, but it doesn't serve us in real life. And it definitely doesn't serve us if we're playing a long game. Sure, for a short 40-minute, an hour-long period, Yeah, you can absolutely do it, but it's different when you're playing the game of life. And it took me so many years to actually rewire my mentality around it and ditch that all or nothing mindset for progress over perfection. So I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into this. When your body starts to give you a sign, like you wake up one morning and you feel exhausted, or you have aches and pains, and you weren't training the day before or anything, you just had your normal day, but you're waking up with aches and pains, brain fog, exhaustion. It takes you maybe 2 hours to wake up, and you need a lot of caffeine to get through the day, and you find yourself trying to stimulate yourself more and more just to get by. That's a clear sign that your body battery is very low and it needs to be recharged. And if you don't recharge it, it's like trying to fill a bucket of water that has a hole in it. Recovery just doesn't happen. And if recovery doesn't happen, fat loss doesn't happen. And so your body has more cortisol, it's more stressed, and therefore it's in fight or flight safety mode, and it literally stores fat. So it would be very hard to lose weight if that's one of your goals. Or your goal might just be to get by through the day. But you can step out of survival mode into feeling energized. And here's a couple of tips. So there are 3 ways you can change your state instantly. You can change it physically, mentally, or emotionally. Okay? Physically, all it takes is 30 seconds. If you started jumping up and down on the spot and played your favorite song, you would instantly have a mood boost, okay? And I say jumping, dancing, anything that gets your blood flowing, that is brilliant for changing your state of being. Next way to change your state of being is mentally. So you can use affirmations. You can do mirror work. You can look in a mirror and say, I am energized. I see that I'm tired and I recognize that I'm tired, but I'm choosing to be energized for the day. I'm choosing to be present. I'm choosing to acknowledge how I feel and step into my body, my mind. Look up affirmations on YouTube. You can do an hour or so of that. Now, it might not be your thing. Physically might be very easy for you and you just hop into it and you're done, and that's you energized. And then emotionally, you can do it by meditating, you can do it via breath work, you can do it by having connection, calling someone you care deeply, you can just be yourself with and have a heart to heart. So those are the 3 ways you can change your state of being instantly. Unfortunately, once you change your state of being, and if you are tired, it doesn't last for the whole day. So the most important thing is when you catch yourself that you're tired, you're exhausted, you do something that isn't a quick boost like caffeine or stimulants or whatever it is your vice is, smoking, food, sugar. You stay away from those short spikes that lead to crashes later, and you veer towards things that are slow release over a longer period of time. Does that make sense? So once you start swapping out your energy givers for things that keep on giving and they don't take after a certain amount of time, like if you have a sugary drink, you will crash later. If you have caffeine, if you have caffeine later in the evening, your sleep will be impaired. If you don't have good sleep, you don't recover. Smoking, we all know the not so good benefits. The negatives. I was trying to think of the opposite of benefits. The negatives of smoking, sugar, and the list goes on. Okay. So I would audit your lifestyle. So this is the takeaway. This is the action step from this. I want you to write down energy takers throughout your day and energy givers. And you might think that your 5th cup of coffee is an energy giver, but I would argue it's an energy taker. So really think about your routine and audit your day. Take inventory of every single habit you do and just write it on a list of paper. And if your list of energy takers is longer than energy givers, I want you to look at each energy taker, cross it out, and replace it. Choose an energy giver that you want to replace it with. And I guarantee the more you catch yourself doing an energy taking action and replacing it with a positive action, it will compound and you will have more energy throughout the day. You won't be burnt out as often and you will be more connected with your body. You'll be more in tune with everything, and it's much easier to be much more effective at work in the office, much more effective at home with the family or with your friends or yourself, and more present because you're no longer in survival mode and just a passenger in this crashing car. You are now the driver, you're taking action, you're present. And when you're driving and you're not a passenger, you're focused on the road and you don't get tired as easily. So, yeah. On this note, I'd also like to add in that I am planning a retreat in Bali, March 2026, 6 nights. It is going to be amazing. It's going to be a complete energy reset. So, if that's something you're interested in and you feel like you can't do it yourself, you actually just need to get away and go somewhere, absolutely send me a message. I'll send you on the details. There's 5 spaces that I'm opening up for this early bird ticket, so it's the cheapest it's ever going to be. We're staying in a luxury villa, massages, yoga, meditation, sunsets, sea, chef, airport transfer, everything's covered. It's all done for you. You just need to rock up and be ready to receive. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode and I hope you got value from it. And if you want to come to the Bali retreat, just send me a message.